Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. And today, it's time I bring you another solo episode. Pumped out a few of these now. I thought I'd jump on. It's been sitting with this all day. And I was pondering on a little walk about 3 hours ago. What am I going to talk about in this solo podcast? And it just dawned on me then. Having been inside the school system myself as a student, and then through my years of university, and then the transition out of that over the last 10 years, I've really seen what it is that's currently lacking inside our system and how it's failing children. As you may have seen on, there'll be a link to the show notes. I did a feature article for Brainz magazine, and I spoke about in there that the system's failing our children, and it's time we usher in change and we usher in a new way of doing things. And it got me thinking over the last week or so about how we could change this system. What are the things that are so wrong about it? And then what we can do to change it or to build something better. And today I wanted to share the things that I've noticed. I haven't got any notes here, so this is just I'm just going to go with it. Notes, there's no notes, just going to go with it. The things that I've seen inside this system that are so disempowering for our children and how we can shift out of that and change. So the things I've seen in there are, I reckon there's three kinds of teachers inside this system. There's the teachers that really do care about the children, that have a genuine interest in the things that they do, things that they say. It's probably about 40% of those. Then you have those teachers that are on the power trip, the ones where you give them a little bit of power. They didn't really get that as a child, and then they get that power and they use that power to influence, and they overpower their students. And that's probably 60% of the teachers out there. There are so many that are on that power trip that are pushing for that leadership position. So they use their power to disempower children. And that is a lot. And then there's the third. The third ones are the ones that don't really give a shit and are there for the paycheck. There are so many teachers, especially up here in Queensland where I'm living now. There are so many teachers up here that seriously don't give a shit about the students that they have in their care. And they're just there for the paycheck, and they're there to leave at whenever the bell goes. And that's evident everywhere. When did we get to this point where we have people inside these jobs that don't give a shit about the students or the children that they're in care of, that they're teaching? It's unbelievable. So there's one aspect of that I have noticed, that there are three types. The next being what I've noticed inside the school system, especially when I was in there too, as a student, was you were taught to write resumes. So in grade 6, you get, teacher shows you their resume, what they had on the board, and then you're to then start practicing writing a resume for when you go out and get a job inside the system. Unbelievable. And then you write the cover letters. So in grade 5, I remember we were to have buddies. We were to write like a resume and a cover letter, like an application process, have a buddy, which were the preps for the next year. I remember doing that. I don't know how that came to me just then, but these things do. And I remember writing that cover letter and the resume and different things, and then progress that 20 years in advance to where I am now. I'm sitting there, I'm going, not once did we have an entrepreneur coming in showing us how to run a business, how to write a business plan, how to generate money outside the system, how to start a side hustle. You didn't have any of that. And it got me thinking, I'm like, why do we have our students, our future, writing resumes and cover letters so that they can go out and get a job? Now, the thing that's disempowering about that is that child then leaves that school and then goes to uni or does those things to then go and work a job that they necessarily don't like for 35, 30, 50 years. But the key thing here is they're building someone else's dream instead of building their own. You know, when we're little, from about 5 to 10, 12, we have these hopes and we have these dreams. Then we start writing resumes and cover letters and all these things. And then our dreams start slowly getting crushed because we're trying to fit the mold of, oh, our parents did this, so we need to do this, or this teacher said that we need to do this to them, so then we do this. And we eventually leave that system full of regret, full of all these negative emotions, and we're building someone else's dream instead of our own. When there's a lot of kids inside this system that don't like being there, they don't enjoy being there. They're seen as the rebels, the ones that don't follow orders or follow instructions. And it's those kids that they yearn for something more. They yearn for more authenticity, and they don't necessarily want to be there. So then those kids leave that system, do the things that we see that they're doing now, and they're growing up hating the system because they were going inside a system they hated going into, and they didn't know why they had to do this thing. And then they start working at jobs to see how the conditioning from this system works, where you have a child that doesn't want to be there, then grows up and he doesn't want to be in the job. It's unbelievable. And you got to give the orchestrators of this system some credit. If you read a book called The Weapons of Mass Instructions by John Taylor Gatto, you'll get more of an understanding and an insight into how this system really works and how you pretty much walk inside this indoctrination system and you walk out pretty much a passive order follower robot. And that's how this system works. And I had my own hopes and dreams of being a teacher one day, and it was the start of 2020, and I knew that this system was not for me. I was not going to be disempowering children, telling them what to do, being a boss, doing those things. It just didn't fit. It just didn't align with what I wanted to do. Even though I wanted to help and work with kids, that was sort of the only way I could do it. And then you go through this journey and you start unpacking stuff, and I started stepping into my potential and stepping into this coach that I am now. And it's like, well, this is how I can empower children. This is how I can empower people rather than being inside that system where I'm disempowering children every single day. There's so many stories and so many things I hear from people inside my circles that are in this system. And it's unbelievable what is actually going on and how many teachers and students and parents out there are yearning for change. And this is where we get to the next point. So just to reiterate, I did speak about the resume, the cover letters. There's no entrepreneurs coming in and showing these children how to run a business. There's none of that. It's to be a cog in a system to build someone else's dream instead of building their own. And we have these teachers in there disempowering their students on the daily, getting them to do things they don't necessarily want to do or like to do. And this is why there's such a pushback, such a rebellion, because these kids know that they're here for something more. They're here for something greater than what they're currently being served. And if we can get back to the basics and understand that children learn in their own different levels and own different paces. Some kids will want to read a book at 6 years old. Some kids won't. And if we can understand that soul development and that soul of a child, that they'll read, they'll write, they'll do these things when they're ready. There's so many stories out there. I'll put a podcast in there from my good friend Paul Lindards, who did a podcast talking about this on my show, where he said there are so many stories of these kids that are outside the system that literally just pick up a book and start reading it at 10 years old with no prior experience because the soul was ready. We need to understand the soul development and the soul journey of a child so that we can help them progress and develop further and not necessarily force them to do things that they want to do, because then that child grows up resenting the fact that they didn't want to do this. They grow up working a job that they don't want to do. So see how this system conditions that child to a point where it's just bang, 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 bang. And they do things they don't want to do. And they repetitively do that over 50 years. They get to that deathbed and they regret everything that they did. And they didn't take those opportunities that they had to exit because the system designed them that way. Now, we weren't born that way. We were born through love. We were born into this world as a loving, conscious being, and we slowly and surely get programmed and programmed and programmed and conditioned to a point where we do things we don't want to do, and we're walking around like robots, not really knowing and becoming consciously aware of our behaviors. And that's another thing that I would like to start talking about now is inside this system. They don't teach you about the power of the subconscious mind. They don't teach you about how powerful you are as a human. They only teach you about that to a certain point. So in school, you have goal setting. I know for me, I used to set goals at the start of the term or start of the year and then look back on it a year later and see if I achieved it. They were just basic goals like, oh, this year I want to read 4 books. This year I want to start reading chapter books. This year I want to learn how to write with a pen, or those sort of goals. That is an element of manifestation, but it's only to a point. They only teach you to a point. So with the manifestation, it's great to write down your goals and write down what you want to achieve. But to amplify that, this is what they're not teaching you inside this system. To amplify that goal or that dream, like you might have a goal of to write with a pen. Now, that's a very basic, lower level dream. If you want to dream big and dream really big, set a bigger goal. Next year, you might want to earn triple figures. Oh, well, not triple figures, it'd be more than triple figures. It'd be 6 figures or 7 figures, whatever it is. You have a goal and it's bigger than learning to write with a pen. Now, to amplify that goal, yes, you write it down, you have it on a vision board, you look at it every single day. But to really amplify that goal, is this what they don't teach you? This is one of the changes I'd like to make eventually inside a new system, is where we teach our kids the power of manifestation and we visualize ourselves in that moment having achieved that goal. Now, this is the second element to this manifestation that we're not getting taught. So what you do is you visualize that goal. It is whatever it is, it's big, it's massive. You visualize yourself already achieving it because that person out there has already achieved that goal. There is a version of you out there that has already achieved that big dream and that big goal. Visualize the moment that you achieve that goal. Put yourself in that moment, put yourself in those shoes and really feel those feelings, feel the happiness, feel the joy, feel the pleasure, feel the excitement, and feel the magic of you being in that moment, achieving that dream. Where is that being shown and taught inside this current system? Nowhere. Why? Because they only teach you these things to a point. And if they really, really wanted to empower and inspire, which is not what this system does, then we would have our children doing that and they'd be achieving some really, really big things. It's those kids that hold on to those dreams and hold on to those visualizations that aren't consciously aware, but end up achieving those things down the road. That's the key to manifestation: visualization, repetition, and really programming that part of the mind towards that goal, because that part of the mind will drive you towards that goal. That's not what's being taught in schools. It's something that I would love to teach our children and our youth of today, which I currently am, is that how powerful this part of the mind really, really is, and how you can use it and reshape it to build the life that you want to build and enjoy the journey of getting there, and also giving yourself and your family and everyone around you purpose again. Because this is another part of the system too, where you're having lists of jobs up on the board. You might have fireman or doctor or something there, and you sort of go, yeah, I'll just, pick and choose that. Is it something that you really, really want to do at heart? No, it's just something that's going to get you a lot of money so you can do these things and da-da-da-da. But it's not necessarily a dream that you had to be that one thing. And this is another thing with the system too, is obviously we have the career expos and the resumes and the cover letters. And with this system, we're programming our kids to be one thing for the rest of their lives. Now, as I said before, we're born in love. We're born into a world. We're not really sure of our place. We get programmed and battered and beaten down and conditioned and all these things to a point where we just say, yes, daddy, government, take us, lead us, show us the way, because we're handing our power away. But what this system does is programs you to be one thing for the rest of your life. when you came here to do and be multiple things. You might want to be an author. That's great. You might want to also be a musician as well. But with this system, you must be one. You can't be both. Now, the work I do, I host a podcast, I write blogs, I write articles, I content create on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There's so many things that I do, and I'm not just one thing, I'm multiple things. It was the moment that I had that dawn on me 3 years ago that, hang on a minute, I can do and be multiple things. I want to be a writer. I want to be a speaker. I want to be da, 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 da. I can do those things. I don't have to just be one thing. That's what broke my programming from being the teacher to being a multitude of things in this world. Because we all came here to do and be multiple things, but this system programs us that we must be one thing. We must do one thing. This is the only way we can earn money and live the life. Then you're in a system of debt and control and all these things, and it's just conditioning from the school system, and then boom. We are so powerful, and that might be a throwaway line, but we actually are. And when we walk inside that school system, that disempowers us on so many levels, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially, every alley you can possibly think of. And there's so many people exiting the system, which is fantastic. It would be great if we could all just walk away, because if we all walked away, this whole control grid, whatever you want to call it, falls. It crumbles, because that's how powerful we are. And people, we're all walking around not knowing, not remembering how powerful we actually are, when if we all just say no and just stop, the system falls over. And once that system falls over, that we can then build these things and build new communities, build new systems, build new society that are based on love, based on empowerment, and not based on fear and control like this current system is now. If you aren't aware of this yet, just put the news on at 6 o'clock every single night, and it's just a constant state of fear porn, fear porn, fear porn, fear porn, fear porn. When you're in that state of fear, you walk into school in a state of fear. What do you do inside the school system? This is another layer now, where you walk inside, you must line up. You must line up, you must obey, you must comply, you must follow orders. Then you raise your hand to ask to go to the toilet, you raise your hand to ask to get a drink, you raise your hand to ask to leave the room. Now, we're born free, we're born in love. That is not free, and that is not, that's just, what that is control, and it is conditioning our students that they must conform and follow the crowd and be good little students, good little order followers, so when you leave, you're going to be a success. It's not how it works, but that's how this system conditions our kids. It cuts off the throat chakra, and the kid has to raise their hand to ask to go to the toilet. That kid should just get up and go. Because at home, the kid just gets up and goes. But at school, you must raise the hand, you must ask permission. So then when that kid leaves school 20 years later, that government figure can stand up on top of a podium on your TV, you're looking up at authority, and then the government can say anything that they want, and they know that you will follow that order, you will follow that instruction, because in school, you followed the order and you followed the instruction and you complied. It is a system of control. It is a system of fear. It is a system of disempowerment. And it's time we all realize that, and we stand together, we band together, and we let this thing crumble, and we build something better. And I spoke about just then looking up at authority. So when the kids are in assembly or they're in the classroom, they're sitting down, they're looking up. They're looking up at their teacher, they're looking up at their principal, whoever's at the front, they're looking up at authority. They're looking up. Now, when you get put in a trance state, when you do hypnosis recordings, anyone that knows hypnosis, NLP, all these things know that when you look up, you're automatically in what's called a theta brainwave state. And that is how you can, that is how then you can then program or reprogram your mind for success or for health or abundance or wealth. But inside this system, you're looking up at the authority figure, and that authority figure can say, do anything, and you will just follow that crowd, or you'll follow what that person is saying. It's a form of mind control. Now, when we're in school, we're looking up at the teacher, we're looking up at the principal. Yeah, we are. Because we're looking at them to guide us, to lead us, to tell us what to do, to instruct us on the rules and the guidelines, all this bullshit. Because then when you grow up as an adult and you're watching the TV, you're looking up at the government figure who's standing up there in a blue shirt, blue suit, red tie, doesn't matter. Blue and red seems to be their primary colors. If you haven't noticed yet, your news channels are blue and red for a reason. Your sirens are blue and red for a reason. They are primarily fear colors. They have been for thousands of years, and they use them to control. And it's the same in school. You're looking up at authority. You're being trained to look up at authority as this figure at the front. And then when the government can come in on the TV or wherever they are, you will comply and you will follow that instruction. You will follow that order. If it wasn't for the school system, the last 4 years wouldn't have happened. And we all know how that was done. This was done many, many years ago, having a generation full of kids become compliant, compliant, obedient order followers. And it starts inside that school system. And this is why all these things are playing out right now on Earth. If you haven't noticed yet, the school system entrains you to be a good little student, to then when you grow up, to be in a job, building someone else's dream, being a good little slave. It's modern day slavery. Modern day slavery is what we're living right now. And it's time we all band together. We stand together as one, and we all say no. And this whole thing falls over. That is how powerful we are. I was going to reiterate how powerful we actually are, because the power has always been us. There's 10,000 of them and 6 billion of us. And I'll take a saying from one of my great mentors, Jason Christoph. I'll give him a shout out. He often says, we're on a people farm. Yeah, we are. But we're the only farmed animal that can jump the fence and kill the people that are farming us. So remember that. People that are farming us, there's 10,000 of them. There's only 6.5 billion of us. We're the only animal that can jump the fence and kill them at any time. And that's our power. I'm not saying to go and kill. I'm just saying that our power in saying no is super duper powerful. If we all just stopped, this whole thing falls over and we can build something better. Because this current system that we have right now is not empowering our students. It's not empowering anyone. It's disempowering, and it's building a system of slavery, a modern day slavery, for people to then grow up and resent the fact that they've done things they haven't liked for 40 years. And it started in school, because they often say, I didn't like going to school. Then you didn't like going to the job. And then you didn't like this and you didn't like that. And your life, you start off in there with all these hopes and all these dreams, and you just get crushed. And I know for me, which I've spoken about before, where in grade 2 or grade 1 or 2, I had this teacher tell me that I shouldn't be writing about the things that I was writing about. I was writing about footy, AFL, cricket, being a hero, kicking goals after sirens, being that hero. Teacher didn't want me writing that stuff. I should have been writing information reports, copying, handwriting off the board, That crushed me as a kid, because I had this subconscious sort of block in there that was, for safety reasons, my writing is not worthy, because that teacher made that comment to my parents. I heard it, and it was like, my writing's not worthy in her eyes. So I had this belief system that I shouldn't write. I'll just write what everyone else is writing, and I'll just conform, obey. And 20 years later, I'm laying on a table, and I go back to that child, and I tell him that you can do and be multiple things, and that's one teacher's perception. In a world of 6.5 billion, there are people out there that will resonate with what you have to say and what you have to write. That changed my belief system. It changed my program in an instant. Wouldn't have been able to do the things that I've done now if I hadn't have gone back to that child, which was in school. It was told that he shouldn't be writing what he wanted to write about, because that's what I wanted to write about. I want to reiterate that. That's what I wanted to write about. That was my passion. That was me writing my dreams. That was me becoming a hero. That was me writing on an authenticity. It was me writing what I wanted to write about, and it didn't fit the mold. It didn't suit the mold of the current system. How many kids out there is that happening to on a daily basis, where they're not doing the things that they want to do because they must be doing what everyone else is doing? That kid might want to write about kicking goals after sirens, and being a hero. We should be saying that's great that little Johnny wants to write that stuff. If he doesn't want to write information reports and weekend recounts and all this other bullshit that we're getting our kids to write, if that kid is writing, that's fantastic. Let that kid write. Shouldn't be pulling the dream out from underneath and then having that kid grow up to resent everything that all the resentment that started in that moment. So that kid's going to grow up to resent, and he's going to grow up with the dreams crushed, and he's not going to know how to speak or how to write or achieve any dreams, because he's just going to be a cog in a system, being a slave, not loving what he's doing, growing up, being on that deathbed full of regret. How many stories are out there right now of kids that were told that they shouldn't be writing, they shouldn't be running around or having fun doing these things, and they grow up with all these issues because it hasn't been, and then they go into these institutions, they go and get help and do all these things, but no one seems to talk to that person about their time inside the system and whether that might have been a factor in their behavior in real life situations. Getting a bit passionate now, as you can see. There's a bit of a gray area here with our system and with the way things are, is that if we actually sat down with these people and actually asked them what it was that made them this way, that crushed them, it might have something to do with their time inside the school system. Just putting it out there, just throwing it out there, that could very well be, I think it's rife. To be honest with you, there will be a lot of people out there that have issues, and it started in school, from bullying to teasing to teachers talking down to them, talking rude to them, yelling at them, screaming at them. This has an effect on this part of the mind. It has an effect on that child that they carry through for life. And how many are there out there? Thousands, I would say millions. And if these institutions and these systems were designed to empower and to give us the power and to encourage us to live our dreams, and we wouldn't have so many people out there resenting life, resenting themselves, doing these things, committing these things that they're doing. But if the system was designed to be an empowering system, we wouldn't have these behaviors, we wouldn't have these things happening. And no one out there is speaking about the fact that it might have actually started back inside the school system. We always talk about the family home or the environment, or you know, oh no, he was just brought up, you know. We don't actually circle back and ask, well, what about their time inside school? Were they bullied? Were they harassed? Were they teased? Were they yelled at? Were they screamed? Were they sworn at? Were they bullied every single day that they were at school? We're not asking those questions. I'm telling you, this system is failing everyone, and it's failed us for too long, and it's time we all walk out and we build something better. Because every single issue that's happening here on Earth right now can be circled back to the school system. Yes, it does some good, but it also does some bad, and it's disempowering everyone. It's disempowering our kids, and it's been happening like this for too long, and it's time we all stand up. We all stand up and we walk out and we build something better, because right now, that's what's needed. And it's not just the school system, it's every single system that exists within inside this system is failing humanity. It's as simple as that. It's going to tell the truth. And it's time we all say no, we all take our power back, and we wait and we build something better. Because we came here for better. We came here to be empowered. We came here to live the life of our dreams. We came here to create. And inside that school system, those 4 things get crushed. Right. Feel a bit better now having spoken that. It's been on my mind for a very, very long time. And if anyone out there resonate with that, awesome. I feel like it's time we all build something better. And our kids deserve better. and we deserve better as well. So thank you all for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. There was some epic rants there. I don't usually get on rants much, but when I do, I go for it and I don't hold back. So if that resonated, awesome. If it didn't and you couldn't give two shades of shit, I don't care either. But I know for a fact that this whole system is failing us and you can't tell me otherwise. And I do not really care if this upset anyone, because it's true and it's the truth. And we cannot run away from the truth. We must face the truth, deal with it, and then we build something better. So I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Thank you for listening, watching wherever in the world you are. Thanks for listening to my rant today. Really, really do appreciate you guys for listening and tuning in on a weekly basis. It's time I probably start speaking up even more now and getting more passionate about these things, because it's the only way we're going to implement change. And the only way we're going to implement change is more people speak up, more people stand up, and we remember who we are and how powerful we are. And if you want to remember who you are and how powerful you are, then please sign up for my Breaking Free program, 7-week program. I have 3 guest speakers. We cover all things financial, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. I have an exercise coach coming in to talk about nutrition and exercise. I have a former who is now a recovered alcoholic, Jess, who was on my last podcast. She's coming to talk about alcohol and drug awareness from her time being in that lifestyle and how she broke free, and she can help you break free as well. So Jess is going to give an hour presentation. So Scott McGee and my brother Geordie's going to talk about self-care, self-worth, self-love. And my brother's been on an interesting journey with all of that as well, given his time inside the school system, which is also why I got super passionate, because my brother, even myself at times, were bullied inside that system. So that's why I get really, really passionate about it, because we then go back 20 years later and heal that part of ourselves and forgive that part of ourselves for allowing those things to happen, which is, again, inside the school system. So my brother's coming in to talk about self-care, self-love, self-worth. Be an awesome presentation that he will give. And then for the next 4 weeks, I'll be talking about porn and sexual energy and how powerful that energy is. It is our life force energy. I'm going to talk about how we can harness that to build our best lives. I'm going to be talking about the subconscious mind and self-sabotage, and how we can reprogram this part of the mind to live our best lives and to reshape it and to reshape our reality and to fill ourselves with positive content, so that we're not getting, and I teach you and show you where the negative programming comes from and how we can change those programs and drive you towards that life that you dreamt of. So there's 5 of the weeks, and the other 2 will be goal setting manifestation. So what I spoke about at the start of this podcast for kids to learn, I will show you how to goal set, but also manifest those goals and fast, because the key to manifestation is not being taught in the school system, but I will show you in this. This program is available to anyone and everyone of any age. I've had a lot of emails and messages from people asking that were outside the 19 to 35 age bracket. They said, Nath, I think everyone would benefit from this. And I was very resistant in that until I went, you know what? Everyone actually is going to benefit from this program. So everyone and anyone can sign up. I'm going to build a nice little tribe. You'll be added to a group on Instagram or Facebook, and we will be in that group forever. And it will be a little community. We're all striving. We're all doing the things that we want to do, and we're all going to help each other and support each other on the road, and then the climb up Success Mountain. So you'll be in there forever. You have access to me. You have access to me for 7 weeks, but then after the 7 weeks, you still have access to me as well, being in that group. I don't just walk away and leave you after 7 weeks. I'm your head cheerleader. I'm your coach. I'm your mentor. I'm your friend, and you have me for life. And that is a lifetime investment. It is an investment in you, and it's a lifetime investment. And as these programs get better and better and better, you'll have access to them for as long as you want. So it's a one-time payment for a lifetime investment in you, and that is the best investment you can make, which is why I've made this program very inexpensive and very affordable. And if you are struggling out there financially, this program will help you not to struggle financially. This program will help you kickstart your financial powers into your new life, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You'll start to get those 5 pillars of strength going, and you'll find that your energy will start to attract. I'm giving away some secrets here. This is all in the program. It's a one-time investment. It's a lifetime investment. It's an investment in you. It's inexpensive. It's very affordable. And if you can't afford the payment up front, there are payment plans. I've made this very, very easy to access. There are some awesome people that are presenting. It's an awesome community. I have an awesome team around me right now ready to deliver this program. So please sign up. Please jump in. If you feel like you want to change and leave 2024 a new version of you, then this is your sign. This is your time to make it all happen. So if you have any more queries, questions, or concerns, send me an email, comment on this podcast, send me an email, nathanselfsabotage@gmail.com, message me on any of my social media platforms, and I'll get back to you pretty much straight away. And we can kickstart your dream into the best version of you. If that's not enough, I do offer one-on-one coaching. All of the stuff in the program is just on a generalized level. The stuff that we do one-on-one together is tailored to you. It's personalized. I give you heaps of resources, affirmations, hypnosis recordings, meal plans, exercise plans. I give you the whole works, but it's tailored to you. It's not just general. It's tailored to you. It's personalized. We go through all of your emotions, all of your stuff. You lay it all bare, and I give you a space to be able to clear all that and learn about the subconscious mind so we can drive you towards success. And again, you have access to me in that one-time payment. You have access to me for life. I'll give you my number at the end. We communicate, we become friends, and I am still your head cheerleader many, many years after we've worked together. And that's the way it should be, and that's the way I've designed it. So yeah, sign up to any of my programs, group or individual, and I look forward to working with you to build your best life. And who knows, you might even jump on my podcast and share your testimony and share how far you've come, and you can look back and go, wow, wait. And I've had a few clients come on my podcast now, so that is obviously there as well. If you would like to jump on and share your story, feel free to do that. So the platform's not just for me, it is for you too. So this has been the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Thanks for listening to my rants today. I get really passionate about this system and how we can actually build something better. And we can actually do that because that's how powerful we are. So thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. And I'll see you guys again real soon. And who knows, the next solo podcast might be more of a rant. So talk to you guys soon. Cheers.